Oh my god, 2-second updates, really?
8, 6.
You know, the ironic part is it probably already started and we don't even know it.
That's very true, actually.
No, it just started, actually.
It just does its own thing.
Yeah, it literally just started, not gonna lie.
Alright, cool.
It was going when you were all like, oh hey, 13 seconds.
13, I hate that number.
Sentient Podcast strikes again. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Frantic Talks Podcast, episode 93. Man, that's a lot of episodes.
It's 93 of them to be exact.
He's not
Shut
wrong.
up.
So, welcome. We are here.
Can I kick him from the call?
You could. It'd be really funny, and we just wait for him to get back. We can do our normal shtick while he just, fucks off in a corner or something.
I think he already is in a corner.
Yeah.
I am in a corner.
He's frozen on my screen, just laughing.
Oh.
Which is what makes it really funny, because we can still hear him, but his videos. You guys can't see the video, though, because we've eliminated video from this, because it's way better when we do that. But anyways, welcome to the Frantic Talks Podcast. I am your host, Frantic. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host,
Grunt. Hello.
And also our special podcast host has decided to join us, grace us with his presence, and that is, of course...
Freakshow.
And we are here to talk about wrestling.
Wait, that's not how we do this.
Gaming. But actually, we're actually going to focus pretty much on wrestling today, which is really weird because Grunt normally isn't in on our wrestling podcast.
On wrestling.
Discord keeps it up. I'm not going to be part of this podcast.
We can hear you. You're fine. There's no worries.
I mean, okay, but here's the problem. To be part of the discussion, I have to hear the ongoing discussion, and with the feed freezing every few seconds...
I mean, yeah, that's true, but you can hear us, right?
No, dude, that's when you just, throw out random comments and hope that you're right.
Alright, we'll go with that.
Tow truck. Just Grunt's shouting out fucking words over there. That'd be great. So today we have a special episode. Of course, we're going to be talking about, like I said, more focused on wrestling. So if you're not interested in that, I apologize. But we're not going to be focused too in-depth on anything because we're actually going to try and do one of our very first panels. Q&A panels is the best way to put it. This is something that Grunt presented as an option, and we're like, this sounds like a really fun idea, and most likely we'll get more of these recorded as archive casts, so you guys will have them when we can't go live. But
I'm going to hereby dub them panel casts.
Yeah, there you go, panel cast. The Frantic Talks, this is the very first Frantic Talks panel cast, and today's topic is the Royal Rumble, specifically, because in the next 24 hours, the Royal Rumble will be on, well, not 24 hours on the spot, but, the next day, the Royal Rumble will be live, meaning when you hear this...
What's happening to the camera?
Runs fucking off with his camera over there. When you hear this episode, more than likely the Royal Rumble...
His camera doesn't want to talk about the Royal Rumble. It's just fucking gone.
It's like, I'm done. Just nope the fuck out of this conversation.
It's just throwing itself over the top rope. It's eliminating itself.
Are you moving it yourself? Because it looks like you're not. Just
it
up
wants... I'm holding it right now, but it wants to fall down, so you'll be basically seeing the bottom half of my face and my chest. Just keep going.
Anyways, we're going to be doing a Q&A panel about the Royal Rumble. As I said, it's going to be happening tomorrow based on the day we're recording this, but more than likely you'll hear the audio version of this, which will mean it happened today. But it already happened, I guess is the better way to put that. It is going to happen January 28th, right? Today's the 27th? That's right? Yeah. January 28th. Starts at around 7 or 8 o'clock or something like that. The pre-show's at 6 or something. But they will be doing the classic 30-man Royal Rumble and, for the first time ever, a 30-women Royal Rumble. Both will be very interesting. We're going to talk about... I think we're actually going to do a little bit of predictions on who we think will win, at least. We're going to talk about every person that'll be in it, maybe a little bit of that. But Grunt has provided some questions that he wants answered about the Royal Rumble. Maybe some other wrestling questions we'll throw into as this panel goes on. But we're going to talk about that. And we have one other topic to get to before that, because it's happening. It's happening, guys, and it's the perfect storm. We're going to talk about the XFL returning because it's wrestling related, and because we have a football series called The Kickoff on Thursdays that just finished up, and it's a perfect storm of topics to blend, and that's how we're going to do this. So, with that said...
World sports with sports that can only exist in your head.
Yes. But anyways, we are going to get this show started with the typical way. First, let's talk about where you can continue the conversation. If you want to talk to us about anything we say here, give us your predictions for the Rumble, or talk about anything else that, continue the conversation, as we like to say. I'm at FranticJ3 on Twitter. Next to me, not on screen, but on screen, is at Freakshow187, and then also at OnyxSpartan. That is all of us. OnyxSpartan, all one word. That is all of us on Twitter, where you can hit us up at Frantic_Talks. Use less of your characters just to say, hey, what's up, Frantic Talks. Also, head over to Facebook.com/Frantic Talks to get a more Facebook form of Twitter. Grunt, you are really distracting right now. I'm really trying to just
Sorry,
not
man.
focus
This camera
on
just keeps wanting to fall over. I need to figure something out with it. Here,
Grunt's just over there, like, fucking spiking his camera down.
I'm not ready to do that.
You can
just put some tape on it and tape it up on something.
If it helps, I'll turn my feet off momentarily.
I mean, you're fine. It's really... I'm just watching Grunt over here up and down, and I'm like, Twitch and Facebook.
Where can you find us?
That's what she said.
As I said, the Twitter and Facebook are probably the easiest ways, but also twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word. We typically go live every Saturday, usually at 3 p.m. Eastern. Usually this time we actually nailed it on the dot. But you can join in on the conversation live, get a shout out, correct us if we say something wrong, or just, join in on the fun, get to listen to it before it actually comes out on Mondays. Speaking of coming out on Mondays, FranticTalks.com is where you can find everything I just mentioned, along with a link to our Discord channel in the footer, which we just added a new bot to let you search up magic cards, which is really cool. There's also a couple other different links, like links to all our game DVRs for Xbox if you want to check out some of the hilarious clips that we've recorded, and also just in general all of our articles, which is a Monday podcast, a Wednesday weekly column written by one of the three of us, Wrestling Fridays, the kickoff, which was normally on Thursdays, just ended because, well, the Super Bowl happened, and...
Super Bowl actually happens next week.
Well, yeah, but you predicted it this week, so... Unless you're going to
it's going to be wrong. I mean, I'd probably still get it wrong.
You could just run, like, 6 simulations and describe each and every one of them. It'd be like, which one's going to be the most accurate? I got a 1 in 6 shot.
I mean, I could do that,
yeah. But yeah, you can head over to FranticTalks.com, like I said. All that stuff is there, including our articles, and you can check out all our other stuff. Let us know what you think on that, and I'll go ahead and get that up on screen. And we can talk about some of the stuff that is there. And as I already mentioned, the kickoff, which was our football series where we simulated the playoffs. We, and I mean Grunt, he simulated the playoffs. Unfortunately, was 3-7 before the Super Bowl. He will be either 3-8 or 4-7 as a final record in terms of how many he got right.
So about that 500 record you said I should get, huh?
I had faith in you. I was like, Jags, Vikings, that could be a Super Bowl. Ended up being the polar opposite, but what are you going to do? But other than that, there was also FVF Part 2, the Frantic vs. Freakshow series, which is our Wrestling Fridays, and kind of how we kind of got started talking about wrestling on this podcast in the first place. Freakshows Part 9 came out. It's called New Alliance. Some fun stuff happens in there. I don't want to spoil anything, but to give you a recap, Wolfpack picked up a win over the Young Bucks. Undertaker got busted open by Grunt, because that's how that works. And Sami Zayn won the FTW Heavyweight Championship. FTW being Frantic Talks Wrestling. I know we're hilarious. So, if you're interested to see where things go from there, and that sounded interesting enough, go give it a read. It's not too terribly long. They're a little lengthy, but we got to go through 4 shows and a pay-per-view, basically, in terms of describing what we booked. So, if you need more wrestling in your life and can't seem to get enough of the normal wrestling, you can check out our fantasy booking, because I'm sure we are the best fantasy bookers that have ever graced the internet. So,
ever.
Oh yeah, we are the best armchair bookers to ever sit in the armchair.
Armchair bookers. Yeah. Okay, so we like to start this podcast off, obviously, with talking about where you can talk to us and talking about articles, but really, there's one question we always have, and that question is, Grunt, how was your week?
It's been, I don't know, it's been sort of busy doing various admin things.
It's been a week.
It's been a week, yes. But it hasn't really been too much interesting stuff. I've been briefly researching some other quote-unquote hobbies to get into, more so pertaining to the rapid interest I have taken in things like medieval era and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing some research on that stuff, and just writing other odd end things. I think I finished up, there's a blog post on my own blog that I finished up this week. I thought
that's the one you had us read, right?
That is indeed, that should be going out Monday.
Plus, normally we don't get to read your personal blog posts.
Not before I publish them, no.
Yeah.
No, but this one, it tackles a subject that I'm very, what the right term is, affected by. It means
Familiar
something
with?
familiar with. Yes, we'll go with that. So I'm not going to spoil it because that's no fun. It'd be like saying, here's what I'm going to talk about in my next column,
And my conclusion.
Which-
Boom, done.
and then that, yeah. Which, fun fact, I don't even know what what my next column is.
I
So-
gotta start thinking about that. I know what Freak Show's next one is because we're tag teaming it in a way,
Ooh.
so that should be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Last Saturday, I went and played some Magic, some EDH.
Nice.
That was fun.
Was it
Nothing-
magical?
I think the reaction's what makes it funny, not the actual joke, which I know is why he does it, but I say that.
Permission to kick.
Permission to kick. Yeah, he doesn't have a bit coming up. Just kick his ass. Motherfucker's still got a stocking for Christmas in his background. It's fucking January at the end of it. Little shit.
Dude, I got no other place to put it. That stocking's fucking huge.
There's
Hey.
a whole nother wall, I'm sure, that's off camera that it could have gone.
No.
No, there's
There's
just
not.
no wall on the other
There
side.
was
It's
already
just
a
the
nail
outdoors.
there.
Oh,
It's just the outdoors.
You can't undo
Or
the
Black
nail
Abyss.
and just hammer it in another.
Yeah, no, there was already a nail there, so I just didn't.
Jesus.
Might as well. But yeah, I played some Magic. That was interesting. Didn't win any of the games. I was able to recast my commander like three times when I played my Scion of the Dragon deck. So I had the mana.
I was gonna say,
Really?
yeah, you had to have at that point. You were spending 11 on him just to get him out.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was able to ramp, which is what I wanted for part of that deck, so I was
Yeah.
able to get that going. But I couldn't really do anything in that game, even though I was able to play Scion like 3-4 times, like I said, because two other people said, "Yo, you can't attack us" because of something they had out. I don't remember.
Did they play the Swords of Revealing Light?
Probably.
Yeah. No. There's
Someone
nothing.
tell
that
me-
What do you
compares
mean,
to it.
no? That stops attacks for 3 turns.
I know it does, but I'm trying to think of a card that compares to that in Magic, and there really isn't one that just kind of like delays attacks for a few turns. I mean, there's fog effects, but that's not. No.
Yeah, the one deck was a fog deck. And then the other person I think was having basically protection from all the colors. So
That's more than likely a
racist.
thing of some sort. I just don't know how he would be doing.
yeah, I have no idea. All I know is I couldn't do anything, so it wasn't that fun. And then to end the night, someone had infinite mana, and that's just like, no, I'm done. It's midnight. I'm out.
Yeah, that sounds like a good amount of EDH sessions.
So that's pretty much how my week has been. Kind of uneventful. Did play some Crucible with Freak Show last night. That was fun. We put some randoms on our backs and carried them.
I did
We
the same
crushed
thing last night,
that
actually.
one team.
Oh.
Just at different times.
So, yeah, it's pretty much how my week's been. How about Freak Show? I'm assuming that's the right direction now.
Yeah, you're right.
That way.
On
That
my
way.
screen, at least, you're right. I don't know.
Sweet.
I mean, week was spent playing video games, doing real life stuff.
This is
Played the
riveting.
Crucible with
Like,
you guys.
man, I
Yeah, dude, I know.
should pass you the mic
Uh-huh.
more often.
Shut the fuck up.
Did some stuff. Did some things. None of it's relevant. Next.
Yeah, just been playing like Dragon's Dogma.
What is that
Pretty
game? I
great.
see you playing it all the time. I don't know what it
It's
is.
It's his dragon and his dog.
Shut the fuck up. It's like Skyrim, only I think it's better.
Okay.
And at the beginning of the game, Dragon steals your heart. You do a bunch of meaningless side quests, and when you finally get around to the main story, you're basically doing a bunch of tasks to track down this dragon and then kill it and then get your heart back.
Okay.
So it's kind of like Skyrim, to where the main storyline is you're trying to kill a dragon.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Well, pretty sure we said that at the same time.
Well, yeah, probably not on my side, but
Close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Played some Monster Hunter World yesterday.
I have a couple of friends who've been playing that, and I've never played a Monster Hunter game, but that's one that I feel like would be fun to play. Just never have.
This is the first time that I'd played one. I mean, it was pretty fun. It definitely gets repetitive real quick.
So aren't you like collecting monsters basically?
Pretty much.
You're a monster
A la
hunter.
Pokemon, in a way.
Yeah, just without the Pokeballs or the kid that never ages.
Well, that's not true. You play a different character every time. Ash just never ages.
Yeah, talking about TV show though.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a riveting week, my friend.
Yeah.
I can't say I had much better though. I've just been like binging wrestling the past week because I'm ready for this Royal Rumble. Truthfully, like I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes of the old Raw back when I was watching it, and I've watched 2 Royal Rumbles. I watched I watched last year's, and then I watched the 2010 Royal Rumble because I heard that was the last one that was actually good. Apparently, that one was entertaining to watch.
Who won the 2010 Royal Rumble?
Edge on a surprise return. It was the same year Shawn Michaels went and fought Taker at WrestleMania as a rematch, and he was supposed to win, and he got like heartbroken when he got eliminated.
Yeah, all the years like run together without me knowing who was the winner.
Yeah, because last year was Randy Orton for some reason, and then the year before that was Triple H to win the title because they decided to throw that moniker on it. And then the year before that was when Roman Reigns got booed out of Philly. Very good chance that happens again this year. We'll talk about that.
Fun fact, when Triple H won that, it was 14 years from his last Royal Rumble win.
Damn. I did not know that.
Yep.
So yeah, that was basically what I did. Mainly was that last night I was playing some games of Freakshow, playing some Crucible, and then I decided to. We decided we were going to a play that a friend was in, called "And Then There Were None," and it is basically a murder mystery play. And it was a really fun experience. It was a lot of fun. It was about 3 hours, but I mean that's what you expect when you go into a play. And it was very good for a community theater play. Very, very good. So we had a lot of fun with that. That's basically been my week. Honestly,
When you get there, did they say that it was time to play the game?
Why? Just it wasn't even a game. Why is there a game involved?
Let's see, right click, profile, remove friend. Yeah, that's fine.
So
Doesn't actually allow me to do anything because Frantic is the owner of this party.
Oh, I have to kick him. Oh.
Well, or at least I'm assuming. Jeez.
Calm it down, Grunt Dad.
It's actually not him.
All right, so I also did forget to mention, besides our lovely titled podcast number 92, Autobots Roll Out the Doobies, you got to go listen to that one to get the context there. That one was interesting. Grunt also had a weekly column come out, I forgot to mention it, where he talks about swords and realism in video games and how he got contradicted in Skyrim by finding a sword book, because that was really funny.
Literally, after I finished that, God.
I found it funny.
Finish the article, get it drafted, say, hey, Frantic, this is drafted. You want to give it a read before scheduling it? And like an hour after that, it's like, hey, I found this book in Skyrim. That totally nullifies one point I tried to make in my column. So I just, at the end, I went in and edited and said, yeah, author note, I found this. Thanks, game.
Fucking.
It's pretty much.
All right, so we have some fun stuff to talk about. We got the Q&A panel coming up here shortly, but let's talk about this fucking thing called the XFL.
What does the XFL stand for, Frantic?
Nothing. It literally stands for nothing. It just sounded cool.
So we have like the NFL, which is the National Football League. The MLB, Major League Baseball, NHL, National Hockey League, whatever FIFA stands for. I don't actually know.
It stands for football with a U.
Football. The XFL literally just means XFL.
Yeah. He literally said it doesn't mean anything, and when they first announced it, it wasn't Extreme Football League. It was literally just we like these letters together, and he decided to keep it when they brought it back this year, or when they bring it back in 2020. The announcement was this past Thursday or Wednesday or something. Thursday, that's right. When he announced it was like, we're just gonna stick with that because people know the name. It's like, yeah, but people know the name because it was a colossal failure. You're just gonna say, oh, we're gonna revive this thing that was dead on arrival. Well, it wasn't actually dead on arrival, but.
So whose bright idea was it to bring this back?
I mean, it was clearly Vince McMahon's idea. So let's go over what the XFL did, what it was, why it failed, in a brief synopsis.
It did football. It was a football league, and it failed because it was a football league.
You're close.
I mean, all right.
So if you guys want a more in-depth look at this, I would highly recommend going to Wrestling with Regrets YouTube channel. Guy's name is Brian Zane. He does a video on the XFL. He released it about a year ago, around Super Bowl time last year. And check that out because they go into a lot more depth, and that's actually where we're going to get a lot of our facts from this, because that's about the extent of the knowledge I have of it. But essentially, the XFL...
the knowledge you want about it, for being honest.
Also, you spell regret with a W.
Wrestling with Regret, they're all spelled with W's. Just Regret's the only one that isn't normally spelled with a W. He threw it in the front. So it's WWW. Anyways, Grunt, you look confused. How does that not make it? It's literally wrestling, starts with a W, with, starts with a W, regret, but it's regret, but with a W in front of it. You get it?
Yeah, so it's technically... Oh my god.
Yeah, that's his gimmick. He's the WWW guy.
Also, if you like that video, check out some of his other videos. He's got a lot of great videos on wrestling content. You can't go wrong with the Kids Wrestling League or whatever it's called. That one.
Oh my god, that one was amazing.
Old Man Tronson.
Goddamn old
I
man
noticed
Tronson.
his mug in the background after you told me about that, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Where the fuck were the parents?
Nowhere to be
Old
found.
man Tronson is literally the only parent that gets mentioned, and he's not even one of the kids' parents.
Yeah, it was an entire wrestling thing done by kids, and it got a following. That's not a joke. That wasn't like some random one-off. He analyzes real things, like either movies people have made or documentaries of real wrestling, and that was a real thing. So if you're interested in that, I would highly recommend you go and give it a look. He's really good at breaking stuff down and really explaining why things work and don't work. But he broke down the XFL with his reoccurring character, the what's the dude's name? The overzealous fan or whatever.
Yeah.
And they talked about it, essentially what the XFL was. Vince McMahon, in around 2000, partnered up with NBC, and they had a 50-50 partnership in this new football league called the XFL. Reasons as to why this happened are numerous speculations. My best guess, and everyone's probably best guess, is that Vince McMahon really likes football, clearly, because he's talking about ever since the first one failed, he wanted to bring it back. And secondly, he was kicking WCW's ass so hard he felt he could take on the NFL. That's my personal conspiracy theory, and it makes the most sense knowing Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So he did this, and after a year after he announced it, it started, and a year later it failed. So there was a lot of factors in this. It was football. Don't get us wrong. It was football. It really was. It's just there were some changes to the formula. So some of the stuff was kind of innovative, if we're going to be completely honest. Some other stuff was kind of stupid. So first off, there wasn't a kickoff. There was a scramble for the football. So they just threw it on the ground, and two guys ran after it to figure out who gets the ball. So
what happened during the first scramble of the first game, Frantic?
A player got injured. Literally on the first thing of XFL ever, a player got injured.
And how long was he out for?
The rest of the season, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he was out after he scrambled for the football at the beginning. He was gone. And there
so
was
not even the XFL is safe from something similar to the Madden curse.
Right, yeah, I mean, injuries were going to happen. It's a sport. It happens. Even in the world of WWE where it's predetermined, injuries still happen. But
Wait.
Wrestling's fake?
Wrestling's fake?
Oh my god, my life is a lie.
I'm gonna go burn all my wrestling shirts now.
But no, there was that. They would try to get interviews with coaches and players during the game after a play, which was kind of interesting. But there were a lot of times where they were just getting a camera in the face of the coach, and he was really mad about them blocking the play, so he couldn't call it, which is in the video. You can watch that. But what really was, well, there was another piece of it. It was you could have nicknames. So you know how wrestlers don't typically go by their real names. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin's not really named Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock, or Dwayne the Board Game Johnson as we call him, is not named The Rock. They could have their own names on the back of their jerseys, like gimmick names if they wanted to do that. But what really sucked about it was the fact that it was the guys who weren't good enough for the NFL were here, and that meant that the gameplay wasn't as exciting. So at first it was exciting, a new football league, new players, some different rules, maybe a little less ridiculous compared to the NFL's kind of strict rule enforcement. This seems interesting, but then they have a bunch of players who aren't as good as the NFL, and they're supposed to be competing with the NFL in terms of popularity. And it kind of just crashed and burned at that point. Ratings took a crazy nosedive, and in order to bring the ratings back up, Vincent Kennedy McMahon got so desperate that he said, no, next week on the XFL, you're going to get a sneak peek inside the women's locker room, because how else do you drive ratings up with... He didn't actually do it. What ended up happening was a pre-recorded segment where the cameraman got knocked out right before he walked in, and they went into this like weird fantasy world in his mind where there were half-naked women, but it wasn't really the women's locker room. So it was obvious, like...
And Rodney Dangerfield was...
Rodney Dangerfield was what? You cut out.
Rodney Dangerfield was there for some reason.
Yeah, so they tried to bring the ratings back up by doing ratings back up by tits, because that's how that works, and it pretty much crashed and burned after a year. So,
well, that's because the only tits you saw in that segment was Rodney Dangerfield's.
Right. So that's what happened with it. It was terribly executed, and as Brian Zane says in the Wrestling with Regret video, this was a time where football was white hot, everybody wanted a piece of it, and it was really hard to fuck it up. And that's exactly what they did. It was so...
You know what else was white hot? Everyone wanted a piece of it, and it was almost foolproof as not to fuck it up.
This is not going to end well.
Oh, I know it's not. What?
The invasion angle.
Oh, damn.
And you know what Vince did?
He
fucked it up. Yep.
I'm noticing a pattern here.
Yeah.
And there's one common denominator.
What, Vincent Kennedy McMahon? Oh, we could do a whole 10 episodes of the podcast on why he is bad for wrestling. But I digress. Basically,
on the other hand, though, we could also do another 10 on why he saved wrestling.
Oh yeah, we could do our whole entire episodes we could do an entire Differently podcast. Like 20 episodes of our own little just documenting everything. We could do that if we wanted.
I keep trying to tell you guys to do it, but
hey, time's a factor. But anyways,
Indeed.
Speaking of time, so we don't run too far over on this episode since we got a lot to talk about. There was one other thing about the XFL I forgot to mention that was kind of a big deal on why it did so poorly, on top of the stuff I already mentioned. They announced it a year in advance, and then once teams were drafted, Grunt, I want you to guess, how long did those teams have to practice before their first game?
I'm gonna say probably only about a week.
You're under, but not by much. It was 4 weeks.
4 weeks. So they practically had a month to practice before their first game.
Yep.
After the teams were all assembled and everything,
yes,
contracts were signed and all that.
Yep, they only had 4 weeks as a unit to get ready for their first game.
That does not scream problem at all.
Yeah, not at all.
They weren't a unit.
So that takes us to today. Everybody knows the XFL failed. There were some drastic things trying to get it ratings to bump, and that's how a lot of people remember it. It was just this sad attempt at a cash grab. When in reality, it could have been something better. It could have been kind of like the Arena Football League is today, where it's kind of, if you get out of college and don't go into real football and you still want to play, you have an opportunity there. It's a little different, but you can still play there. And that's what I expect it to be now, not going to lie. But now it's coming back, and Vince McMahon says it's coming in 2020. And so they're going to get rid of the gimmicks, a lot of the stuff that, kind of made it stand out, a lot of that stuff we mentioned before. And they think since they're going to have a 2-year gap to get it going, they'll have a better shot at it. So he funded this by selling $100 million of WWE stock that he owned. That's how much, I guess, faith he has in it. But that's,
or he's just going senile.
Or, yeah, that is very possible. The dude's 73 years old, I'm pretty sure.
And he's in better shape than most of us will be at any point in our lives.
You're also not wrong about that, but that's pretty much where it stands. It's coming back. We don't know much. He kind of touched on it a little bit in the speech that he did. Not the I guess speech isn't the right word. The stream that he did where they asked questions. The best way to put it, and based on what everyone else has said, is we don't know what the fuck we're doing, so if you have suggestions, send it our way, but we're going to do football. Also, no kneeling or anything political is basically all we know about it. That's it. Oh, and no criminal backgrounds, which is going to be interesting because typically NFL
a lot of your NFL players have criminal backgrounds.
Some of the better players definitely have a bit of a trifled past. That means Johnny Football ain't going to be the face of the XFL, as so many people speculated. He can't literally play in the league if that's their rule. I still think it would be amazing, and I agreed with this Redditor, that they sign Colin Kaepernick and Tim Tebow, and we have our classic babyface versus heel at the front of the XFL. That would sell tickets. Vince McMahon,
you know who they should sign?
Who?
Goldberg.
Sign Goldberg. He was. A lot of wrestlers were previous football players or went.
Yeah,
to try
Goldberg played for the. He played for the Falcons, didn't he?
It might have. I think it was the Vikings, or was that Lesnar?
No, that was Lesnar.
He might have played for the. I know The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, played for the Miami Hurricanes in college. There was a couple. There's a bunch of different ones that were like lower mid card guys that did. Like Draws played for
Farouk played.
Yeah, Farouk did.
Dude, Draws has his own Trivial Pursuit card.
Yeah, because he threw. They called him Puke because he was a part of the Denver Broncos and puked in a game on camera, on accident, of course. But that's where he got his nickname, Puke. And then he became a wrestler after that. And they even called him that. He was like, he played for the Broncos. His nickname's Puke. We're gonna call him Puke.
What a way to get your name for wrestling.
So, anyways, that's pretty much all we can really say. We don't know much about where it's going. And personally, I think it's just going to end up being essentially the minor league of football. And there's nothing wrong with that. Grunt, what you got to say?
Well, it's a question I have for both of you.
Okay.
But finish what you're going to say, because I think it'll be a perfect way to capstone this segment.
Okay. No, that was basically all I had to say. I feel like it's going to be a minor league of football, and there's nothing wrong with that. It could make a decent amount of money, I imagine, and it'll give players a chance to stay fit, prove that they're maybe worthy of maybe an NFL run, something like that. I think it'd be perfect, honestly, if he runs it right and doesn't just shit on it like crazy and get wrestlers to promote it like he did back then. It just...
Well, he said that they weren't going to have any involvement with wrestling.
Right, he did, and that's as long as he sticks to a lot of the things he's saying and maybe backs off on the whole criminal record thing, because you're going to not get too many good players out of that. Hate to say it, but that's pretty much all I have to say. So what is your question, Grunt?
Well, in a roundabout way, you kind of answered it. Say the year is 2020.
Okay.
The XFL is debuting, or has debuted, however you want to look at it. Again, I should say. Do you think it will go over, given what little you do know about it, and maybe not taking its past history in consideration?
Mm-hmm.
You can if you want. Do you think it will survive? Maybe possibly give the NFL a run for its money, because a lot of people I know, for various reasons, are not happy with the NFL.
That's a good point.
Will the XFL survive its rebirth? Basically, is the question. Right now, it's 2020. Do you think it will work?
I know what I want to say. Freak Show, you go first.
If Vince doesn't do it the way he did the first time with all the cross promotion and all the bullshit, I feel like it could compete because, say what you want about Vince, he knows what he's doing because he started this. He brought it back at the right time, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The timing, it could never be better. if we're being honest. Personally, I think it would be. I think if he capitalizes on the places he says he's going to capitalize, like the streaming services where the NFL has been really stingy about it, and as much as I don't care, I literally don't care that players talk politics and do the kneeling and all that. I personally don't care. If he's gonna sit here and say we're gonna remove some of the more controversial things that rub people the wrong way, that cause them to not watch the NFL or boycott it, as I know some do, I feel like it could have a good amount of success. I don't think it will give the NFL a run for its money anytime soon in the next 10 years. The NFL could care less this is happening. And honestly, I don't blame them. What I think is going to be the best way to put it is what Freakshow said. Vince knows what he's doing. This isn't just some guy who had $10,000 and wants to start his own football league. This is a guy who threw $100 million at a football league, has learned from his mistakes, and knows what he wants to do. I feel like it'll be around for a good amount of time, barring any stupid decisions like they did in the first run. So that's what I think.
Who's your favorite XFL team, Frantic?
Did they announce them? I thought we just made up name generators, like pick a big city and throw a random word against it. I thought it was like a dartboard.
I mean,
My brief research.
looking back at some of the names, you're not far off.
It was because I don't actually know any of the 8 team names from the original league. I know the the Alabama or Georgia team was racially insensitive until they changed it, if I'm not mistaken. Or it almost sounded like the N-word and they had to change it. Which was a great way to start it all. But
yeah. I did find out Chicago had a team. That doesn't surprise me, but yeah, it does at the same time.
Yeah, they were the Chicago Forces. They actually went 5-5.
Of course you know that.
So much like,
of course I do.
Much like everything else in Chicago, they're just average.
Yeah, they're just
other
average
sports
at
teams
best
in Chicago. I'm sure the Bears don't suck. Period. I'm digressing.
All right, so that's all we have to say about the XFL. Let's talk about the big shebang happening tomorrow night. The Royal Rumble happens in 1 day and 3 hours and 20 minutes and 55. It's going to keep counting down as we're sitting here talking about it. That's what it says while we're recording this. And this is the part where I hand the mic to Grunt and tell him to start asking us questions, because we're going to do our very first panel cast here, live, in person, right now.
All right, so first and foremost question, let's get this started. What is the Royal Rumble?
What is the Royal Rumble? The Royal Rumble is a 30...
do kings and queens gather around and...
Yes.
Because when I think of a Royal Rumble, I think it's something totally different than what you guys do.
There have been wrestlers that have used a gimmick as royalty in the Royal Rumble, yeah.
I like those wrestlers.
So, the Royal Rumble is... Of course, there's one king that will be crowned by the end of it, a few jesters that are in it, but mostly it's a bunch of knights fighting for the claim to be king. What'd you say, Freakshow?
I said you're describing the King of the Ring. We're talking about the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, but the winner of the Royal Rumble is king, to be fair, because the King of the Ring doesn't exist anymore.
So the king... Dude, hey, fuck you.
All eyes to the king.
So... The king, not the King of the Ring, the Royal Rumble is a 30-man, at one point was a 40-man, that was a bad idea, battle royale. That was a bad idea. In wrestling terms. Where the only way to get eliminated...
At one point it was a 20-man.
That is true. Where the only way to get eliminated is to go over the top rope, both feet touch the ground. So if you get thrown over the top rope out of the ring and your both feet touch the ground, you are eliminated from the Royal Rumble. The goal is to be the last man standing. You start with 2 men, and it depends on what year it is. Every 90 seconds to 2 minutes, another wrestler will enter the fray. That is the Royal Rumble. And Indeed. It is absurdly popular. And if you win this bout, this excessively long thing where some people have lasted 60 minutes and won it, Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio, both have lasted... Well, Shawn Michaels only lasted 38 minutes, if we're being honest. Rey Mysterio lasted 62 minutes, the longest standing Royal Rumble winner. He lasted from the entry number 2.
62 minutes, 12 seconds.
And won the whole thing. And then the person we're not allowed to talk about, Chris Benoit, also did. He started at number 1 and finished last man standing. If you win this, though, if you were able to do what they did, or you enter at number 30 and just get lucky like 3 people have, you will get to main event
Literal
WrestleMania.
underdogs.
What?
Literal underdogs.
Literal underdogs, yeah. You will get to main event WrestleMania and take on the champion at the time. So right now we have a brand split of Raw and SmackDown where Raw has the Universal title, that's the top title, and on SmackDown we have the WWE title. So if you're on SmackDown and you win the Royal Rumble, you get to take on the WWE champion at WrestleMania. If you win and you're on Raw, you take on the Universal champion at WrestleMania. That is the Royal Rumble in, I wouldn't say in a nutshell, it's basically it. Did I miss anything for you?
No. I mean, the only thing you didn't cover is like when the first one was and who invented it and stuff.
Oh, I'm sure those are questions.
That
Yeah.
was one of my next questions.
Go for it.
So, since you spoiled it, when was the first one?
I don't actually know.
1988.
Oh, I would have said 89 because I didn't actually know. So.
No, it was
1988.
Yep, it was January 24th, 1988, and it was invented by Pat Patterson.
If I'm not
That's a
mistaken,
name.
the very first Royal Rumble wasn't even titled a Royal Rumble. It was just a test run of it almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the name then? Why is it called the Royal Rumble? Other than the fact that it's essentially a rumble.
Right. That I don't know. Freak show.
Because they thought it was a cool name.
Like most things in wrestling.
Yeah,
I was really hoping there'd be some deeper meaning there, but
because
I guess
smaller matches where you have to throw your opponent over the top rope are called battle royales. So my assumption is they just My assumption is they just took that and just replaced the battle part with the royal and then slapped a rumble at the end. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah, because with 30 people, I should have read the 30th anniversary of the Royal Rumble is coming, and it's in 2018. I should have just done some fucking math right there. Jesus Christ, I'm bad at this job.
you're fired.
Oh yeah, I'm fired. I'm leaving the call. But yeah, that makes sense to me. It's a battle royale, but it's a lot larger, and because of how many people are in it, it kind of can get a little sloppy sometimes, where there's just so many people at once,
Right.
which is just kind of like a big ass rumble. So makes sense.
All right. So, who won the first one? I think
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
You beat me to it. I was like 90% sure I knew the name. Hacksaw Jim Duggan won the first Royal Rumble.
All right.
Back then, I will add, it was not a shot to main event WrestleMania. That was not a moniker of it at the time. That didn't start happening until like early 90s, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. So back when it first started, it was just for like titles or whatever, or for bragging rights. I don't remember which.
Right. And the first one to be contested for a title was in 92 because the winner of the Royal Rumble got the vacant World Heavyweight Championship at the time.
His name? The Nature Boy Ric Flair, correct?
Yep.
I thought so.
Ooh.
Yep. He came from NWA as the invader, essentially, because he left MWA, which was crazy at the time. So
Fun fact, they pixelated the NWA belt when he was on TV because they were afraid of getting sued.
that's
Wow.
pretty funny. All right, what else you got for us, Grunt?
So, who is the person that has won the most Royal Rumble titles?
Frantic.
Okay, I don't actually know. I know multiple have won 2 of them. I don't know if who's won 3 of them. Would it be
Stone Cold Steve Austin?
That was my
97,
thought.
98, and 2001.
Yeah, I was just thinking it was his run during the Attitude Era that won the most. And my next guess was Michaels because I thought he might have won a third one. Because he won back to back in 95 and 96, right? Or 94, 95 or something like that.
95, 96.
Right, and he never won one again. Okay, yeah, so it was Austin. Yeah. I was just thinking, I was like, he won 97, 98, and then I just watched the Royal Rumble 2001 review by Wrestling with Regret right before this video, and Austin won that one, so I should have had that. Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course. The face of wrestling won the most Royal Rumbles.
Strike 2. One more strike and you're out, Frantic.
One more.
Was also the
and then
first
only
man
Freak
to
Show can
win.
answer. He's also what?
Was also the first man to win by beating the shit out of Vince McMahon in one of them.
Oh, wow.
That's just
Why he wants to
Austin's
start
thing.
the XFL?
Yep. All right, what else? What else? Next question. Oh, I'm like burping. Sorry.
Well, let's see. Typically, you said that it has kind of like implications on, wrestling for titles and that stuff. How do you get chosen or however to wrestle in this rumble of royalty?
So, as of right now, you pretty much just declare yourself. Or you are unannounced and they just kind of pick you for the shock value. I don't know if there was ever a qualifier back in the day. I know with the King of the Ring tournament, which, while we're talking about royalty, there were qualifying matches to be in it. But otherwise, I don't think there was any real... There's no real official way besides just coming out and being like, yeah, I'm in the Rumble, bitch, and making a Twitter video for some reason. So
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a way.
I really want people to declare themselves when they want to wrestle in the Rumble, Royal Rumble.
The only people that are excluded from it are champions.
To be fair, there have been a lot of rapper gimmicks, so I imagine, yo, I'm wrestling has been done. Probably. It's wrestling. Pretty much anything you've thought of has been done before. I know I come up with some outlandish shit, but more than likely that's been thought of. And that's what's crazy.
Oh yeah. Everything you think of in wrestling now is just a rip off of somebody else.
Yeah.
You mean further proof that wrestling is fake? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair,
this is news to me.
We're having music artists release cover albums, so that's a discussion for a different day.
Shout out to the Tasked Men, death metal band that does nothing but covers.
Next question.
So going for this year, 30th anniversary of it, surely they have to have some big people.
There's some.
Who are some of the people wrestling in it this year? Do we know?
Yeah, we know of currently 17 of the 30 people. You're never supposed to know all of them, of course, because that's how they can get surprise returns and debuts and stuff like that. The biggest names that have declared for the Rumble currently are Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, Freakshow, help me out here. Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton. Those are the first 5 that came to mind. I feel like there's a couple more. The New Day, if you know who the New Day are.
Roman Reigns.
Well, he hasn't declared, has he?
Yeah, they officially announced it
they did.
Yesterday.
Okay, so Roman Reigns will be in it.
I was really hoping you would just say, he literally declared right now.
He's declaring right now on YouTube Live. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, I got the inside scoop that he's declaring right now. He's using the bathroom, texting Vince McMahon saying he wants into the Rumble right now.
How the hell did I forget? John Cena declared. That's a name everyone knows.
Because you can't see him. You can't see him. That's why
we won't see him in the Rumble, yet he declared for it. That seems like an unfair tactic.
His career has been built on unfair tactics.
That's true. But those are some of the bigger names that are in it, and there's a couple other randoms. Kurt Hawkins, has he jumped into it, or are we just expecting him to get annihilated when he does jump into it?
Every time I see him, I just expect him to get annihilated. Like, he's just walking down the street carrying groceries, and then all of a sudden some old lady smacks him in the back with a cane and pins him.
Yep, that sounds about right. Okay. Well, those are some of the people that we know that are going in this year. In terms of surprises, I guess, since I imagine this might be your next question, but in terms of who we expect to be surprise debut, at least in the men's side, I don't know.
Ricochet.
Ricochet is one that's come up because he recently signed from the indie scene, and they think he might debut. Maybe 1 or 2 guys from NXT. I don't know, depending on how the championship goes between Gargano and Andre Almas. That could... Gargano, if he wins, means Almas might be free for the main roster. I don't know. We haven't really talked about the women's side. So let's talk about that real quick. Known women that are in it. Pretty much every woman that's going to show up.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, Asuka and Nia Jax are the 2 that really matter, because those are the only 2 that you can even...
They have more than one female wrestler? They were smart and they hired more
They were
than one.
smarter than Southpaw. They hired more than one female. Oh, and that
What do you
female.
mean you only hired one
Funnily
wrestler?
enough-
Don't you need two?
They have Natalia in the Rumble. So,
Yeah,
because Natalia is the one that plays
she is the
girl
one
they
that
hired in
played Debbie
Southpaw.
Desperado.
Yep. So they've announced all 18 women that are pretty much active wrestlers on the roster will be in it, and there's 12 unknowns. The big unknown that everyone expects to be there and pretty much win will be Ronda Rousey. She has been.
She's not going to be there though.
Are you playing me, or you really know?
I'm just going by what she said.
Yeah,
Plus, she's currently filming something.
Yeah, she's openly denied it. She's been seen having dinner with Triple H, and she's been in the WWE Performance Center, which is kind of like where they train you to get ready. So
I mean, all right, that really doesn't mean much of anything in my mind.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's a lot of speculation, and if any place to debut would be this one, would be at the Rumble. And essentially, everyone thinks Asuka's going to win it, and if it isn't Asuka, it'll be Ronda Rousey. And then the other one would be Nia Jax, who's this really rather large girl who's very hard for them to take down because she's a bigger girl. Everyone is speculating the hell out of Asuka versus Rousey for WrestleMania, so we'll see what happens there. The women's side isn't as I don't want to say as entertaining what's the right word I'm looking for?
It's not as in depth as as far as talent goes.
Yeah, because they literally are throwing every woman that exists on the roster there, bringing some people from NXT, and probably bringing back some legends like Lita or Trish. Probably just Lita. I don't know what shape she's in though. So it's basically
No, they're going to bring back Michelle McCool
and the Bella Twins, and who's the chick that I just saw her on the Rumble when she eliminated the Great Khali?
Beth Phoenix.
Beth Phoenix, that's her name. Yeah. So there's a lot of speculation on that end, but that's basically all I can say about the women's. It's never happened before, so there's not much to add to it. It's just a women version of the Rumble. So,
although women have been in the Royal Rumble before.
Yes, Chyna was the very first woman to be in a Royal Rumble. It was before it was a men's and women's. It was just a Royal Rumble. Chyna was the very first, and she entered at number 30. I'm pretty sure in '99. I think was that year. Yeah. So. She came in. She didn't do too much. I think she eliminated Mark Henry because they were feuding at the time because he kept calling her his girlfriend or something. I'm actually at that point in the wrestling because one of the next pay-per-views is the Royal Rumble in my watch through, and they've been having their feud. So good to know where that goes.
In the Royal Rumble twice.
She's been in it twice. You said.
Yep, in '99 and 2000.
That's right. So, any other questions that you could think of, Grunt?
Well, the last one I have now, kind of for now, anyhow, kind of plays off of the previous discussion. You talk about the unannounced, the people that are being introduced later on for the shock value.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some people you guys would like to see on both sides? Even doesn't really matter, men's, women's.
So
who would you like to see show up and just be like, "Hey, I'm here," or however that works?
So let's start with the women's side. I feel like that'll be easier. Freak show, surprise entrance on the women's side. Who would you like to see?
I would like to see Michelle McCool, probably Trish Stratus.
Trish was on the 25th anniversary of Raw. She was there. So
indeed, she was.
30th anniversary. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and they're making history with the first ever women's Rumble. So, on the women's side, for me, I don't know personally. There aren't too many that come to mind. I imagine some legends will be there. I'm rooting for Trish or Lita to show up, or both. It's just a matter of what shape they're in terms of can they get in the ring and actually not look like complete crap for the 5 minutes they'll be in the ring. Just because, I mean, if they're not working out and getting ready for that, they probably wouldn't do too well, and it wouldn't be a smart move. I'd like to see one of them because I remember them from growing up. Lita was awesome because, I love the Hardy Boys, and she was part of the Team Extreme whole thing back in the day. Other than that, I really think it's going to happen. I really think Ronda Rousey would be there. And honestly, I would not mind that at all because I like the prospect of Rousey versus Asuka, and I really hope Asuka destroys her because that's how that would work. And so I will root for that if it happens. Otherwise, no, I think it'd be I'm just gonna look forward to seeing who all gets entered. Oh no, Cultaholic I think is who said it, or What Culture, don't remember. They said Santina Morella, which is just a guy dressed as a woman who won the Divas Battle Royale from WrestleMania 25 or 30 or whatever it was. Santina Morella needs to get entered into it. He'll jump in the ring, and all the women will just stop and then immediately beat the shit out of him and throw him over the ring or over the top. I want that to happen.
Fun fact, the guy that dresses up like Santina Morella also holds the record for fastest time to be eliminated in the Royal Rumble at 1.9 seconds.
Yep,
How do you manage that?
Because he slid into the ring, stood up, and got immediately clotheslined. I think it was by Kane.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Wow.
And he has this like ridiculous unibrow. It's hilarious. He runs
He
in
has
like
a
super
ridiculous
determined.
everything.
he's a joke.
Have you seen him walk? Jesus.
He just comes in, he's ready to go. He slides in and gets hit, and he's like, no, I wasn't ready, and he's already eliminated. And then he won the Divas, like I said, Divas 25-woman Battle Royale from one of the WrestleManias, dressed as Santina Morella, because his wrestling name is Santino. So that was back when the women were treated like jokes, of course. So I think it would be really cool, like What Culture or Cultaholic, whichever one said it, for him to enter and then get immediately destroyed by every woman in the ring just to symbolize we're done with that era. I think it would be really cool. Because you can tell a lot of really cool stories in the Royal Rumble, and I think that would be a wonderful surprise. Like, at first you're like, oh no, WWE, what are you doing? It's what most people would react to it. But then she jumps in and just gets annihilated by everybody. Everyone would standing ovation immediately, I feel like. It'd just be like, fuck that guy. So I want that to happen. And they've already shown that they'll have all the women beat the shit out of the weird guy. They did it to James Ellsworth before they fired him, so I'm fine with that. Not James
Poor
Ellsworth.
no chin James Ellsworth.
That no chin bastard. Grunt, look up a picture of James Ellsworth when you get the moment, just to see what no chin.
Just don't expect to see a chin.
Yeah, there's no chin.
No
It literally
chin.
doesn't
All right.
exist.
Impossible to knock out because he doesn't have a chin.
Well, he can get knocked out of the Royal Rumble, though. He did in 2017.
I'm talking about just
over,
being like. I'm not talking about that knocked out.
I know you're not, but to be fair. All right, men's side, though. Surprise men entrance freak show. Who do you, besides Ricochet, I guess? Because I know we both probably would not mind that at all.
I honestly don't know. Like Ricochet'd be the only person that I really want to see, and I think they could get away with doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the nostalgia trip goes, I'm willing to see any legend from the 90s, 80s, whatever. Just get in there, get his stuff in, and get knocked out like DDP did a couple years ago. He came in, threw some diamond cutters, got eliminated. That was all anyone needed.
Yeah, I can go for that. I don't think there's anyone in particular that comes to mind. I think it'd just be cool to see. Not too sure there. Do you think, and I highly doubt they'd do this, War Machine, the tag team from Ring of Honor, do you think they'd fast track them like that?
I was thinking about them, but the more I thought about it, it wouldn't make sense for them to fast track them up like that.
Yeah, I think they're going to thrive in NXT. I feel like they fit that crazy tag division down there.
Yeah.
It was just thought, I was like, I know they signed Ricochet and them, so I was like, oh, could that happen? What about Prince Puma? Where is he? Or is he Ricochet? I forgot.
He is Ricochet.
I thought so. I was like, I separated them in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's Ricochet, and the Prince Puma gimmick was owned by Lucha Underground.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I got that confused. Yeah, I'd love to see him debut. Ricochet is awesome. So
I would, however, love to see Brian Kendrick in the Rumble for some God knows why reason, and Paul London come out because they were a tag team last time they were in WWE. So I would love to see that.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of any other surprises. I mean, there's probably one or two people from NXT that could get called up, and everyone would be like, "Oh, cool."
Like the Velveteen Dream.
The Velveteen Dream debuting would be crazy. I don't know if it'll happen, but that'd be really cool. And then, yeah, I can't think of anybody else, honestly, now that I say that. I'm sure they'll come up with some cool stuff, but ultimately, if it's like the last year, there isn't going to be too many surprise entrants. The year before that, the only surprise was AJ Styles. So, could we get thrown the most absurd curveball and get Kenny Omega? Probably not, but one can wish. WWE ain't in the business of making deals with their competitors, even though NJPW is anything but a competitor to them, I would feel like.
Yeah.
But if they're buddy-buddy with Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho can show up on Raw wearing his NJPW Alpha Club shirt, who knows? Maybe we could.
Fuck it. That was mind-blowing to me.
Maybe we could get Kenny Omega clean in the house and main eventing Mania. I doubt it. I want Shinsuke Nakamura to win. But
well, it doesn't matter who you want to win because Reddit is going to pick our numbers on who we want to win.
That's true. I haven't gotten a message about that. Maybe I got it during this podcast, but okay. Any other questions, Grunt? Do you have any last questions? We're pretty close. We're pretty much on time here, but
I actually don't think I have any.
Grunt, who do you want to win the Royal Rumble?
I don't even. All right. Well, it's going to be whoever my assigned number is. That's who I want to win.
I will tell you what, though. If your assigned number is 27, you have a good chance of winning.
That's true. If your assigned number is 30, you're shit out of luck. There's been 30 Rumbles and only 3 people have won at number 30.
So let me guess. The 27th person to enter is usually the person that has won the most of them? Or has a good chance at winning?
Yeah, number 27 is the one that's won the most.
Sounds pretty predetermined if you ask me.
Well, look at it this way. I'm not saying it's predetermined. You make up your own mind. The same number of people have won it from number 1 as have won it from number 30. Just think about that.
First or last, you're going to have the same chance, apparently.
So, yeah. It just means the 27th wrestler is really good.
Is there any number who's never actually won it? There has to be. There's only been 30 of them, and 1 in 30 have won 3 times each. 27's won the most. Yeah, there's got to be a couple who, like 18 or 19, like middle of the pack, most likely has never won it. Or something like that.
Yeah, I have no idea. That thought never even crossed my mind.
So that being said, let's go predictions here. Freak Show, who do you think, or I guess want? Let's do who do you think will win and who do you want to win the Women's Royal Rumble?
Sorry, just to touch on what you said about the number. Number 14's never won.
Okay. I believe that. Like I said, middle of the road, I feel like hasn't won it before.
I want Asuka to win the women's. And I feel like if she doesn't win and Ronda Rousey shows up, it'll probably be Ronda Rousey.
And I think I'm on the same page. And the only thing I have against that, as much as I was kind of like praising it earlier with the story they could tell, is that this is the very first Women's Rumble, and the women who are going to be in this match are kind of primarily responsible for getting the women's division from sex toys to fucking actual, wrestling and being worth a damn. It would be kind of a dick move to give it to someone who's never actually been in the ring until that night. And just be like, legacy, just kind of like how the first ever women's battle royal at WrestleMania was won by a guy dressed like a woman. Epitomizes how WWE felt about women at the time. If they do this Rumble and then hand it to somebody who barely even has never wrestled before, besides I think WrestleMania 32, she was with The Rock or something, it would just feel like, oh, the part-timers are more valued than the regular timers, which again would epitomize WWE again, but that would be my only caveat of having Ronda Rousey win it. So, because the only other thing I see coming out of it is, say Ronda Rousey shows up and Asuka eliminates her and Asuka wins. That means Ronda Rousey's going to be gunning for her. We have WrestleMania. Women's title is on the line. Probably Ronda Rousey has it. Does that mean Asuka's streak ends by Ronda Rousey? Hopefully not. But that's the other thing I see. So
hopefully not. Asuka should never lose.
No, she shouldn't. She shouldn't lose for another year or two at all. But you know how well they treat NXT roster of people. So
that's true.
But what about
just look at the Ascension?
Yeah. Grunt, I assume you don't have much to say about the women's side.
Being honest, I probably don't have much to say about any side.
I mean, you know some names from the men's side, but we don't. Yeah, I doubt you would have, unfortunately, anything to say there. So now we'll talk what we want to happen and what we think will happen for men's, and we'll call it an episode. So, Freak Show, who do you think will win, and who do you want to win?
I think Roman Reigns is going to win. And I don't want that. No one wants that.
No one wants that. I think they're going to be so blind by the fact that he was getting rooted for in the Shield that they'll be like, oh, he won't get booed out of Philly again, which it's in Philly again, by the way. And he got booed out of Philly last time he won it.
You know it's bad when you get shit on so hard that they can't even send The Rock out to help you.
And The Rock gets booed with you. It was that
yeah,
bad.
Yeah, last time he won, they sent The Rock out. They booed The Rock out of the building, too.
And we all know pretty much Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania is probably happening, and that's why a lot of people seem to think Roman Reigns will win, because that means he gets to take on the current Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, at Mania.
And that's going to be a boring as shit match.
Well, yeah, because I imagine Lesnar isn't going to give a shit. You would hope he put on the show he put on with AJ Styles. That was a fantastic match, but one can only hope. But who do you want to win? I think I know the answer.
Bray Wyatt.
I didn't know the answer.
Who did you think?
I mean, I kind of agree. I think Reigns will win it, but I also don't think that. I think they might understand how... I mean, seeing how much he got booed on Raw 25, they should maybe take that as an indicator. I mean, when it was he's the face and The Miz is the heel, and The Miz got, like, standing ovation for beating Reigns, you gotta wonder, should we be pushing this guy again? Which they don't care, but they don't want a repeat of 2015 or 14 or whatever year it was when he got booed out. I think it was 15.
Right.
So I think that'll happen. I'm like 60% on that, but I think I'm about the last 40%. I'm split between Shinsuke Nakamura or some curveball that doesn't matter, just like they did last year with Randy Orton. So I want Shinsuke. I feel like the crowd would go fucking nuts, and then he gets to take on AJ Styles at WrestleMania, and the world goes home happy. But I don't think that'll happen. Also, I don't know. It's a tough call.
I don't think Vince understands Nakamura.
No, and he won't push someone he doesn't understand, or that he doesn't like their accent. Above which Nakamura he doesn't understand and has a hard accent. What do you know? There's a small chance Finn Balor wins, I think, because the Balor Club is starting to get pretty over. And
speaking of Finn Balor,
yeah,
the WWE Reddit account at Real WWE on Reddit,
yeah,
they were asked in the Royal Rumble thread who they wanted to win, and they actually replied and said that they were all Finn.
That's a clever pun and good answer.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a small chance he wins, and you also see Gallows and Anderson start fighting for tag titles, so you could have a dominant Balor Club stable. Because, let's be honest,
the Good Brothers need some gold.
Let's be honest, who doesn't want Chad Too Bad and Tex Ferguson with the tag titles? I sure as hell do. So,
I do.
Just to let Grunt know who we're talking about here. There's a small chance that happens. I don't think it does. I don't think they do that, but the back of my mind,
they'll be lost. They'll be lost somewhere, so don't worry.
They'll just be lost on the road. Maybe at SummerSlam that happens. I don't know. Maybe they aren't ready to push them this quick, but we'll see. Gallows and Anderson are taking on the Revival on the pre-show, so that'll be interesting. Hopefully it's not a squash match like last time on Raw.
I feel bad for the Revival.
Everyone feels bad for the Revival. All right, so those are our predictions, and also a Q&A panel for the first time where hopefully we answered some questions that I don't know what the right term I'm saying here. People who don't watch WWE or wrestling now know more about the Royal Rumble than they did in the last hour. That's the hope. And also you learned about the XFL, because why the fuck not? So
I think that's a question that everyone should ask about the XFL. Maybe just leave out the not portion of the question.
Say that again. I totally did not understand what you just said somehow. It did not. Nothing clicked in my mind when you were just talking. I don't know how that just happened.
Wow, Frantic. That's strike 3. You're fired.
Finally getting fired here.
Just lead the call. You're done.
Well, then you guys aren't going to be live, and it's just going to be me sitting here sighing, and that's the end of the episode.
All right. I think the question is, why is the XFL even a thing?
Why? Because money, ego, money,
Football. But
The-
mostly money.
Yeah, if I had to give you the most straight up answer, I mean, that's why it's a thing. We're being truthful. It's not because he wants to entertain people. Don't fool yourself. The Mr. McMahon character is just Vince McMahon at 11, not 10. That's all it is. Cranking it up to 11. Normally he's at 10. That's who Mr. McMahon is. That's just how it goes. So I don't know. We'll see in 2 years, I guess. When this podcast's still going 2 years from now, we'll talk about it. Like, oh, it debuted. It was terrible. It won't be here long. I think we'll find out.
XFL debuted. A week later, they announced it's done.
A week later, they said it'll be done at the end of the season. All motivation on teams has dropped to 0. These games are entertaining as hell now because no one cares.
We're gonna do the podcast when the XFL debuts, and Grunt's room's just gonna be covered in Chicago Enforcer stuff.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that would be funny.
I think literally the only thing Chicago sports team I have related is the World Championship pennant behind me.
Well, that's because you haven't seen
Cubs.
the greatest Chicago sports team, the Chicago Enforcers, yet.
Have they won a championship?
No.
First of all, does the XFL even have a championship?
Yes.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who won it?
$1 million championship, I think, is what they had.
I have no idea who won it.
Wow, that's sad. Like, we knew they had one, but we don't even know who won it. Like,
It was
I kind
that
of want to
great.
know now.
All I know is it wasn't the
Football
the Birmingham Thunderbolts or whatever the fuck their name was. They was like 2-8. I know it wasn't them.
That's right.
That's all I know.
God, what was
Wow.
the Birmingham team name? That was the one that was racially insensitive. It was the Birmingham. For some reason, the word nectar keeps coming to mind, but that's not at all what they would have named them.
No.
If it's racially insensitive, do we really want to say it on?
Well, it's not actually. I think that might be the wrong term. You could hear it wrong and think they just called everyone in Birmingham the N-word. I'm pretty sure is what it was. So, because they had to change their name because of how bad it was, or how bad the reception of that was.
Wow.
Anyways,
There's no way that would be allowed nowadays, so I'm pretty sure we're safe from...
dude, we still got the
Happening.
Washington Redskins, and you're going to say it ain't going to be allowed? People aren't going to give a shit.
Well,
Actually,
I mean,
the Birmingham Thunderbolts used to be called the Birmingham Blast.
Oh, that's right.
Changed their name because
it could have been heard as
Yeah.
Blacks. That's what it was. The Birmingham Blasts. And it was
Yeah.
like, the Birmingham
Oh.
what? Blasts. What?
the what now?
The what? Oh, the Birmingham Thunderbolts. That's what I thought you said. All right. So that about does it for us, guys.
Thunderbolts.
Hope you guys enjoyed our first panel cast / XFL Bashathon. I'm sure there'll be more of that in the future, and there will be more panel casts that are not an hour and 15 minutes long. But Royal Rumble's tomorrow. We're all excited for it. Hopefully, the people we said win, that we wanted to win.
the Los Angeles Extreme won the XFL championship.
The LAX.
That's like the
Yeah.
perfect branding opportunity, and they said XFL stands for nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
But anyways, if you guys want to continue the conversation, let us know what you think about the stuff we said today, including giving us feedback on our first Q&A. Any questions you guys want answered about wrestling, we probably will be able to answer them. Let's be real. You can hit us up on Twitter. It's going to be the easiest way. I'm at FranticJ3. A guy next to me, even though you can't see him, is at Freakshow187. Next to him is Onyx Spartan, known by X Spartan. And we are at Frantic_Talks. Tweet at us. Get your voices heard. Let us know what you think. Also, Facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. Give us a like. That is where you can get a more Facebook form of Twitter. Twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word. Live every Saturday, usually at 3 p.m. Eastern. Usually. You can join in on the conversation, get a shout out, correct us if we're wrong, or do anything else. Have some fun, join in, listen live. And also frantictalks.com, where you can have everything I just said in the footer, along with all the links to our DVRs. We have a Discord link, all our articles. Monday's a podcast, Wednesday's a column written by one of us three, and Fridays are Wrestling Fridays, where we post Frantic vs. Freak Show, a booking simulation match between me and Freak Show that only has about 3 more months left in it. 3 more editions with part 1 and part 2. So, also magic.frantictalks.com. Forgot to mention that in the first part of this episode, but that's where you can get magic articles and all that fun stuff. But hey, if all else fails, if you guys can't seem to find us, and for some reason, it's not working, you can't find us, frantictalks.com somehow did not work. Don't know why it wouldn't have, but 110 times out of 10, Grunt, what can they do?
Direct themselves to their nearest search engine and just search Frank Talks. You will find us 110 times out of 10, or your Glimmer back.
Or your Glimmer back, folks. Easily refunded.
Yes.
That about does it. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add.
If you stop by my Xbox DVR page, I highly recommend you check out the clip of Killer Instinct when I beat the shit out of Grunt for a 93 hit combo.
It's pretty funny. I'll say I've watched it. I'll admit it. Alright guys, that about does it for us. Let us know what you think. Who do you want to win the Royal Rumble, both men and women's? Also, any other cool predictions about the show would be much appreciated. And if you have any questions related to the Royal Rumble or wrestling in general, let me or Freak Show know, because we'll be able to answer them. Of course, Grunt came up with the questions because he isn't as well versed in it. No problem there.
You could still ask Grunt the questions and just see how he answers them, but...
God, I want to do an episode like that now. Just like ask Grunt questions and he makes up answers. Like, who won the first WWE belt? The Monster. Yeah, there you go, Grunt. Yeah, that sounds like a guy.
I mean, hey, I'm all for doing some little side skit like that to just throw up on our YouTube channel
That'd be really
for the fun of it.
All right, guys. That about does it for us. Like I said, hit us up on Twitter, all that fun stuff. I'm Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
And I'm Freak Show.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Virtual Wave.